Welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, theciaellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever changing world. One of the good things about growing old is sorry, I lost my internet for a moment. One of the good things about growing old is that people judge you less when you say some outrageous things. I'm getting older and I've had a fascinating life. I also have opinions. You may not agree with these opinions, and I may not care. Even now, I'm passionate about many things. I love to learn. I love quotes. I love my animals on the farm, and I care about my country. Join me as we explore loving life, even as we age. And today is August 30, 2024, and it is episode 64 List Overkill. And we will get to that later. First, we're going to start with farm happenings. Mackenzie is right in the middle of softball season and she's getting so beat up. It happens in softball. I mean, it does in all sports anyway, but she is one bruised up little girl. And she hurt herself again the other day. She was sliding into base and she got tangled up with the defender, and her toe hit the base as she was sliding in, and it turned her foot. Not necessarily turned it outward, but it turned it more on its end type thing. Like it could have easily dislocated her foot, but it didn't. But she wasn't getting up, and so I'm running out onto the field again, and of course, coach handled it pretty good, and he told me just stay on the side for a minute, and what was kind of interesting about the whole thing is if you let me give you a little bit of background, okay? I never wanted to have anybody tell me how to take care of my children, but so I wasn't going to tell my son and his wife how to care for their children. But things had gotten bad enough in that family. They had gotten into drugs and they were going, things had gotten really bad. And uh, I ended up having to fight for custody for Kinsey. And she's been with us since she was 11 years old. Well, I didn't realize how bad it was until I got her, and how big a mess her life had been and how much it had affected her. So I had made a vow that no matter what, I was going to be there for that kid. I was going to be the rock that she needed no matter what. And so if anything's happening, I'm there. Well, she goes down on the field and doesn't get back up. I'm there. I'm going to make sure that she is taken care of. Of course, I'm coming out on that field that day, and the coaches tell me she's going to be all right. This is what's going on, and he handled me much better than the other coach did a couple of weeks ago, and I was grateful for that. And I told him so too. But even when I'm standing out there, knowing that she's hurt, my brain, I knew she's in good hands. If she needed to be carted off, they'd have somebody who could help get her off the field. But in my brain, I was trying to figure out, okay, I've got these stupid flip flop sandals on. Do I kick them off and then carry her off, or do I think I can carry her with the sandals on? And I had pretty much decided that I was going to kick the shoes off and carry her barefooted. That way I'd be more sturdy. And then I was probably going to suggest that she ride on my back, piggyback style. This is what my brain was doing. And, that of this, I guess in a lot of ways that might be sad, but like I said, I vowed I was going to be there for her. And it shook me up though, that how badly she was hurt. I mean, she sprained it. It's swollen, it's bruised. She's having to get it taped up, and we had to, of course, we obviously put ice on her ankle that night, and there was just one more huge black and blue mark on those poor little legs of hers anyway. But it was kind of interesting how much it affected me, because when I sat back down afterward, first of all, I had a little bit of a case of the shakes. I just started trying to have the shakes for a couple of minutes, probably not even that long. It was just a small case. But then I wanted to cry. Well, and then we're driving home that night, and Kenzie's saying, Grandma, you don't need to come out onto the field whenever I get hurt. And I did start crying then. I said, no, you don't understand. You don't have a choice in that. I'm coming out there. She goes, Grandma, you don't need to come out on the field when I get hurt. I will be fine. I said, you will be fine, and I will be there. And she knew she'd upset me. And as you can tell, it still upsets me, but I'm there. I'm going to be there for her. It's just the way it is. And she wasn't trying to hurt my feelings. In fact, she said so. But it's kind of weird how strongly it's hurt me, Well, I mean, and if you have children or grandchildren, you have nightmares. I had nightmares about my boys getting hurt and stuff whenever they were young. Well, I'm kind of going through the same thing with Kinsey. Probably a little more intense though. Maybe it's because she is a girl, and maybe it's because of the background that she's had. Maybe my emotions on that are stronger because of that. But any of you who have children know what I'm talking about. So she's fine. I think the game last night, she did not have to have it taped. It's still bruised. She's still doing ice and heat and stuff like that. And she did an excellent job of taking care of it. And I really think that she shortened the the span of the injury by how she took care of it. And that was good. All right, back on the farm. I'm missing ducks. I'm missing a lot of ducks. I mean, I never had that many in the first place, but I every day I was coming out and there was one more missing. And you got to know that our place is so overgrown. We've got grass that goes above our heads all around, all the way up to the duck pen, and even having livestock guardian dogs, and even having electric net fencing. We have a bobcat that lives in the area, maybe even more than one bobcat, and that might be what has gotten my ducks. I don't know because there's no evidence of anything inside their pen. Oh, you just go out and you go, something's missing. Oh, there's another one of my birds is missing. But yesterday I was out mowing in the vineyard, trying to get the grouse down enough where I can do a little bit of work on one of the rows, and I found three different puddles of feathers. So I know where three of mine ended up, and it really could have been a bobcat. I don't know. It could have been a coyote. We have trouble with coyotes. Coyotes around here, like my dogs take on the coyotes, and they're usually noisy. You know what's going on. But that bobcat, that's pretty sneaky. So I don't know. Something's getting my birds, and I'm down to two ducks and one drake, and I'm praying that they live long. I have another batch of eggs in the incubator, even this late in the season, and even with my incubator on its last leg, I'm going to try to see if I can get some more ducks. And I may be losing chickens. I may have to start going and start counting my chickens too to see if I've had very many losses with them. I know I've had one or two because I found the feathers for them. But I've got three different ages of birds. They're small batches, but they will all within the next few months get older and start laying eggs, and hopefully that'll replenish my chicken flock before next spring. We'll just have to see on that one. Okay, I also do at the church a couple of years, well, more than a couple of years. A few years ago, the church asked me if I'd start setting up the election booths for various elections that happen, and our church is the one that does it. So I go in the day before election day. I go in and I take a classroom and turn it into a I pull the tables and move them around, put the chairs away, and then I put election booths up, and basically set up all the equipment so that when the workers come in, they can bring what their equipment with them and finish setting up. The day of the election, I go in there, make sure if they need coffee, if they need anything, or what I can do for them, and then I go back that night and help close down the building. And then, of course, the day after that, I go back and turn all those election booths, put them back in the closet, and turn it back into a Sunday school classroom. And we have a very small community. I think I Googled our town, and it's 491 people in town. That's the population of Foyle, and so we're talking little, and kind of interesting. Some of the elections they have, like the one they had the most recently, they only had 13 people in all day long. When you go, why is that? Well, because we're in the Foyle School District. This was a school board election for Sequoia, which is a town nearby. But the areas overlapped, and there were people who live in the Foyle area but have kids that go to Sequoia, and legally and topographically, I think is the word I want. And so they come to our place, our church, to vote for their school board. And like I said, I looked at the thing afterward, and it was like 13 votes all day long, and we're talking four workers, actual election workers that were in there. But there was also a meeting that day A couple weeks ago we had a woman come out. She was assessing our equipment, how what kind of condition it was in, how much equipment we have, because obviously we've got the presidential election coming up, and the last presidential election was a doozy. This poor little Sunday school classroom was overflowed. We had people out the door and around the corner 2 buildings away. So we're trying to alleviate that problem, and so there was a woman that came out and was assessing where we could turn our fellowship hall into the election area. And it had some pros and cons, like we were concerned because it's graveled over there, so we don't know, but there was a place for handicapped people who can park and get in there without having to go on gravel. So I think it's going to work out. It's just a matter of the logistics of it. So, but it was an interesting meeting for a couple of reasons. One of them is we had a tornado here a few weeks ago, and the more I learn, the more I know, the more I'm understanding that it was a lot worse than what I had realized. And the election board building in Claremore, the lady was telling us that it wasn't. She thought it was just the skin, the metal exterior that had some damage. They had some roof damage and they had some wall damage on one side. But then an inspector came out and said that the red iron on the wall had been shoved out, and that she's got 2 or 3 of her beams that are on the roof that are tweaked, and none of her glass in her front wall are sitting properly. So it looks like the whole building was tweaked. And for first, they were saying it's only going to be like $100,000 to fix it, but she thinks after she gets a decent, because one structural engineer came in there that day and goes, "Oh no, it's fine," but it's looking like that building's going to be completely replaced. And then one of the election workers, he goes to the First Baptist Church in Claremore, and I knew they had sustained a lot of damage. They had lost a whole section of roof. They had a whole bunch of stuff going on. But he goes, the roof and stuff was bad. He said the problem was though, is the tornado took out the sprinkler system and nobody caught it, and it ran all night and flooded the entire building. He says it's going to be $3 million to put that church back together, and they've been working on it pretty hard. And it's got a school in it too, and they're having to go through all kinds of hoops to get it where the kids can have some place to go to school. So, in fact, I think they're in a whole different building to do school until they can get things fixed. But that was an interesting thing to learn about. I mean, I'm hearing more and more stories about this tornado and how much damage it's done. Okay, on a whole nother note, I finally did a Facebook page for Grandma's Homestead. I just put it up a day or so ago. I'm still in the middle of softball season, so I haven't done much with it, but it looks pretty good. I'm kind of proud of it. So on Facebook, you can look for Grandma's Homestead and find out my most recent videos and whatever's going on the farm. You can see the pictures, and I'm going to try to figure out other ways to interact with some of my followers and stuff too. But that's what's going on. All right. Whew, that took longer than I thought it was going to. All right, what I'm listening to. Oh my gosh, I was listening to another one. It was like Thor's Hammer, and I really, really tried. This is an audio book, and I do Good for Me, and then I also do fiction. And so the fiction book, I really try to do Thor's Hammer, and I don't do that very often, but I just couldn't get through it. So now I'm listening to another one. It's it's odd, it's very strange, but at least it's not want me having me go, "Okay," and now I keep wondering, how in the world did I put these in my audiobooks? Because these are not the genres, but this one is called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, and it was written in 1980. It's a pretty bizarre little book, but you know what? It's been entertaining, and maybe I'll learn something, I don't know. But I am learning something in my nonfiction book. This is called Think This, Not That. And both of these are on my first listening to. This one is by Dr. Josh Axe, and it was written in 2024. And I have to admit, I thought it had been around for longer than that, but I guess not. But that's been a pretty good book so far, and I'm looking forward to listening to it again so I can absorb more with it. And that's been a good one. Think This and Not That by Dr. Josh Axe. What I'm actually reading, my side book that I'm reading for studying, I'm still working on The Grow System by Marjorie Wildcraft. It was written in 2021. And another side one that I'm reading. This is another good from the book. This is a scriptural book, devotion. Study book, I guess. It's How to Develop a Powerful Prayer Life by Dr. Gregory Frizzell, Frizzell. And it was written in 1999. And so I'm working on that one. And both of those, I only read them for about 15 minutes at a time. And this one of the nonfiction books, and the How to Develop a Powerful Prayer Life has also got a lot of scriptures I'm looking up too. So I may be reading on that for a while. But my novel that I'm working is called Portrait in Death. Nora Roberts has written it, but she's writing as J.D. Robb, and this book was written in 2003. So that's what the stuff I'm either listening, and I listen to a mess of podcast guys. So that's what I got there. All right, my main subject. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I thought, oh, this is going to be a good one, and I thought it was going to be a good one because I thought one of the podcasts I listened to was referring to another woman I know, and she was talking about her list. And but I haven't run across it. I'm kind of looking for it, but I haven't found it. But she's talking about her different lists and stuff too. And I tell you what, I've got lists. I've always been a list maker. I've always tried to make the best of my time. Like my a vast majority of my schedule is in 30-minute increments. I do 30 minutes of something at my desk, and then I do 30 minutes of something, oh, like housekeeping or something else, that's got me up and about. I try to do my projects, like building projects or something like that. I schedule them for about an hour or so, or if I've got help, however long we need to. But if it's just me, I've got so much I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a grandma. I'm trying to remodel a home. I'm trying to take care of animals. I'm trying to clean up our property. I'm trying to learn how to write a book. I've got three or four, how many, okay, 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 YouTube channels. Oh, now 4 if you call this one uh, for this particular podcast. And I've got 2 different podcasts. I've got too much going, and I've got too much going on, and I make lists. Like one of the things I do first thing in the morning, I get up and I get into my devotional. It only takes about 5-10 minutes to go through the devotional, and then I start doing my uh, different things I'm doing in books. I do a calendar. I've got a calendar on the wall here that's like with the whiteboard that I'm keep up so other people can see what's going on. I've got a calendar that I keep track of events, but I'm also keeping track of what I have cooked and how long, what day I've cooked it, so that I know when to either feed it to the dogs or to the pigs and get it out of my refrigerator. I don't want anything in my refrigerator longer than a week. And so I do that. Monitor how many followers and views and stuff I have for all my different things, TikTok, MeWe, uh, the different YouTube channels, just whatever I'm doing, I keep track of that. I keep track of how much exercise I get every day and my weight every day. That's a different thing that I'm doing. I don't know. There's so many things I keep track of. But then I've also got the grocery list, and that my grocery list has gotten better. I have actually gotten better with my grocery list over the years. Used to, it was color coded. It was terrible. I had regular groceries, and then I had um on the same list, I would have something that I would needed for business, and I would had different colored inks and different colored um, highlighters and stuff. And then every morning, I'm trying to look for it. I have a thing that I can. Here it is. Well, I've also got these papers that I cut into 4. I take a whole piece of scrap paper and I cut it into 4s. And so the top left quadrant is all the things I need to do for video type thing. I do the quotes and scriptures every day, transferring footage. And I'm also trying to get stuff for a vlog. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 4 different softball games I'm trying to get taken care of. And I've got the for the farm animal life, I've got another short. I was trying to work on that, so I've got all that done. And then I do have what I call my project of the day. So whatever I have a series of, like today was, I have a list as I wanted to go to the gym. I had a lot of stuff that I needed to transfer footage. I wanted to do this podcast that's on the game thing. We were supposed to have a game tonight. There's probably a reason I can do this podcast tonight is because we were supposed to have a game tonight, but there's been too many thunderstorms with lightning around. Ooh, and I'm seeing this, and this is why I do these lists, guys. Kenzie needs to go to the eye doctor next week, and they sent me a thing saying I need to go online and fill out some forms for there. So, yep, that's why I do lists, because I completely forgot about it. And if it wasn't written down, then I couldn't do it. And so that's the bottom left. And the top right is a list of things like for my scripture skits. That's for a thing I'm trying to do on Etsy. I'm trying to do a collaboration with another guy. We're doing a cookbook of the collapse, and I want to start getting some of that down on paper. There's a letter I want to do. I try to post, I have a blog post that I do. I try to do it every week, and it's usually kind of been every week and a half. But I also post recipes on my blog, and that's at grandma's homestead.farm. So I do that. I have gotten away from doing my Great Depression series, and part of that is because it was on the list and somehow got dropped off and I got busy. So I got to think about today, okay, I need to find where to put it back on a list so I can get to it. So my series, The Great Depression, will be coming up my next episode will become the next few weeks. My book I'm trying to write, Living with Men, and then obviously every week I try to do a blog post. But then there's other things I'm trying to do on the side. Like I need to figure out how to do a living trust. I want to, and then under that I've got things where I want to research into doing some merch, and I like aprons. I do a lot of cooking. I do a lot of different things in the kitchen, and I wear aprons. And I think it'd be cool if I could have aprons with Grandma's Homestead type stuff on it. So I've got that on the list, and I'm trying to. And then another thing, I need to set up a community page on my Grandma's Homestead YouTube channel. And since now that I've got the Facebook page for Grandma's Homestead set up, the next thing on the list, I probably need to do something like that for TikTok too. And then in the bottom, I've got it where I do This Grandma's Life podcast, and there's Books Highlighted podcast, and June. I'm doing book work. I call it June taxes, but it's just the book for the. Try to get the book so I can take them to the tax guy. Well, I've got so many lists. It's taken me, I'm actually intertwining them. So when I get up, first thing I try to do is of course, I do my book work, and then I do my chores, and I come back in and I catch up with my social media. And then I get back up and I try to do some exercise, either go to the gym or do some physical therapy for my foot or some sort of exercise around here. And then that's where it starts, at 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there. So I've got lists all over the place, and it really is kind of sad. Oh, and one of the things I wish, I don't know where I could ever go to school for this, but whenever I do all my videoing, I've got all those video clips. So I record them, then I take them in, and then I catalog them. I have notebooks everywhere, one for actually I've got three different ones for the softball, because in all the other sports I'm so far behind getting them edited and out. But I've got those books. I've got another notebook for the farm animal life. I've got another notebook for Grandma's Homestead. And so I take the footage and I record them. I watch them and I see what's in them so that I can go if I need to, and I have in the past, like when I was trying to put together the introduction for not farm animal life, but for Grandma's Homestead. I want to do an introduction. So I went back through my notebooks and found some of the things I wanted to show so I can do the compilation for the introduction to Grandma's Homestead. And therefore, I record all that stuff. Well, that's so time consuming, but it's also another list. And I get that done, and I can go back and refer to it. And I know where to find the footage. I know where to find it on the external hard drive. I know where to find the notebook for it. And so, yeah, I've got lists. On top of that, I've got alarms on my phones. Sometimes, I do set my alarm for a timer for the 30 minutes at a time, but every once in a while, even then, I get so absorbed. So I have to set alarms when it's time for me to go somewhere. It's time for me to do something, tell me it's time to leave to go to a softball game. It's time to go leave for a meeting. It's time to go do something else. And so I've got all that too. So yeah, I don't know, guys. It's kind of sad, I guess, but that's how I stay organized to the best of my ability. That's how I try to plan my day. That's how I'm planning my life and try to keep up with everything. And if you've got suggestions on how to do that better, let me know. Because I do it on paper and in my phone and on the computer. It's all the places. But my question of the day is what do you do to keep your day organized and schedule straight? Send me an email at theciaellis@gmail.com. Okay, that was a lot of rambling for one day about list, but you know what? That's the way it is. Um, I'm using StreamYard to do this. It's really, and I'm telling you this because I want to encourage you to do some of your own podcasts and stuff. And I think there's other things you can do too, but I'm one of those is once I figure out what I need for what I'm doing, then that's what I'm doing. I don't learn too much more than that, but it's got a whole lot of really cool things that you can do on StreamYard. But if you want to do a podcast type thing or just record it, you don't even have to put it out there for the world to see. You record it and put it on a hard drive. And then later on down the years, you can get your kids and grandkids to see it so they can see whatever life you've had. Because I know you've had an interesting life too. And I know that you've got your own stories, and I know that you have interests that would interest someone else. So I would recommend StreamYard for getting it recorded. You stream it on your own recorder, and then if you want to actually make a podcast, there are other, like Podbeam and Captivate and all them that you can actually put it out there on on iTunes and Stitcher and all the others, So, but I would encourage you to do it, and I would recommend StreamYard. And so, go through my link below for StreamYard. It doesn't cost you anything more to do it, but it's something to explore, something you might enjoy. So check it out and use the link below, and it'll help me out too. I would pray that you start telling others about this podcast. I'm up to 60. What did I say? It was number 64. I'm getting there, and I'm getting better at being more consistent with putting it out. And because it's on my list, and it gets scheduled, and that's what I'm working on doing. All right, guys. I am on Rumble and until I get the Grandma's Homestead and the theciaellis separated. I'm on as Thecia E. I put out a scripture almost every day. I put out a quote almost every day, and then all my videos from all the different channels get put on Rumble, and so you can find me there. I can be found at grandmashomestead.farm. My main YouTube channel is Grandma's Homestead YouTube channel, Farm Animal Life YouTube channel, Kinsey Lackey Sports YouTube channel, but I can also be seen on Facebook for just my regular one is Thecia V. Dayhoff Ellis, and Instagram, TikTok, MeWe, X. Those are all under some form of either Thecia Ellis or Thecia E. And then now I've got Grandma's Homestead Facebook page. Okay, that's all I got for you. And this is what I haven't said in a long time, and I don't know why I should have it on a list. But I've been feeling it lately. Live. Live until you die. This is all we've got, guys. This is our life. This is what we need to be doing with it. And it's another reason to do a podcast if you want to, or a YouTube channel, or write a book, or whatever it is you feel like doing. But live, guys. God bless. I'll see you next time.